y'all. I've got a devotion for you today. It's from Daniel 2, verses 20 to 23, which read, Daniel answered and said, Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, to whom belong wisdom and might. He changes times and seasons. He removes kings and sets up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what is in the darkness, and the light dwells with him. To you, O God of my fathers, I give thanks and praise, for you have given me wisdom and might, and have now made known to me what we asked of you, for you have made known to us the king's matter. This was Daniel's response to God after his prayers were answered. And for a little context, Daniel and 3 of his friends were exiled to Babylon, and King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon had a dream and called all of the magicians, sorcerers, enchanters, and Chaldeans to interpret this dream. The Chaldeans said that they could interpret the dream, and so the king said, what is my dream? And then I want you to interpret it. And the Chaldeans said, okay, we don't know your dream, but if you tell us, we can interpret it. And there's this back and forth multiple times, and the king keeps saying, I need you to tell me the dream and interpret it. And the Chaldeans said in verse 11, the thing that the king asks is difficult, and no one can show it to the king except the gods, whose dwelling is not with flesh. So even the Chaldeans knew that this was not something that man could do on his own. So King Nebuchadnezzar issued a decree that would put all of the wise men to death. And this included Daniel and his companions, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. And I remember them from Sunday school as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So once Daniel learned about this decree that would put him and his friends to death, he requested time before the king. And then he went to his friends and said, join me in prayer. We're going to seek the mercy of God on this matter so that we won't be killed. And the mystery of the king's dream was revealed to Daniel in a vision. There's a few things that stick out to me about this passage. The first is that Daniel has some big faith on him. He went to the captain of the king's guard and requested the time before the king, before he even knew what the dream was or had an interpretation of it. And then after that, he assembled the prayer meeting. I know me personally, I'm not setting up a meeting until I have an agenda and a PowerPoint. So the fact that he knew that this was life and death, and he was so sure that God was going to meet him before God met that need. So to me, I just love seeing that he had such faith. And also, he didn't just say, God will take care of this, God's going to handle it, and then go twiddle his thumbs. He said, I believe God's going to do this. And he set that meeting, and then he went to go pray. He still took action in this. The second thing that stuck out to me was that Daniel was seeking God's wisdom for a literal life and death situation. The good news is we don't have to wait for a life or death situation to seek the wisdom of God. We can invite God into our daily activities, big and small, and invite his wisdom as well. And I just want to note that words of wisdom are a spiritual gift. So these are things that we can ask for. We expect the Holy Spirit to come with these things, and we can be expectant. So let's ask. I've even seen just in small, regular situations like my work life, in the field that I work in, we run into a lot of people problems. And sometimes I've stayed up late trying to figure out, how is this going to get fixed? What are we going to do? And then when I do fall asleep, I'm dreaming about work. But what I have found to help is that when I invite the Holy Spirit into my workplace, into my work day, I receive wisdom. And that can just be something simple. Normally, I'll just sit down and say, Lord, I know that you go before me, and I know that includes in the workplace. Please help me as I work today. And I've seen the Holy Spirit drop words of wisdom on me while I'm working. When there's a problem, suddenly it just pops up, and it's something I wasn't thinking of and something I wouldn't have thought of on my own. So you can be empowered to ask the Holy Spirit for that as well. As you're working or whatever it is that you're doing, just know that God is with us, and the Holy Spirit is with us as well. I've also seen situations where the word of wisdom is to sit down and hush. The Lord tells me that often. And what I've found is that sometimes the Lord will say, I'll say, help me. And he'll just say, be still. And in those moments, I've seen the stillness. In that stillness, God has come and resolved things without me trying to put my own wisdom in it and making it even more messy. So just know that sometimes it's going to be a word. It might be a vision like for Daniel, or it may just be a be still, hold tight, sit right there. And I've seen God move in all of those situations. So my prayer for you really today is that you would invite God to impart his wisdom into everything that you do, whether it's your schooling, whether it's your parenting, whatever it may be. Invite the Holy Spirit in it and invite his revelation and see what he does. That's the sweet sound of motherhood. All right.
Well, we got our blooper.
Yeah.